more information about what could have happened at the initiative. We have more games coming to Xbox and to Xbox Game Pass, and Xbox has improved cloud gaming on iOS devices. Welcome back to another video, guys. If you enjoy daily content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So if you remember earlier this week, this article dropped. It was breaking news and it had to do with the initiative and what was going on at that studio. And people were wondering, how was this going to impact Perfect Dark? So the story is lots of people were leaving the initiative fast and furious because I guess they were unhappy with the direction of the way that the studio was going. Daryl Gallagher, the head of the studio, wanted to really kind of get that structure in place, bring in Crystal Dynamics and have a more top-down approach rather than a flat hierarchy in order to progress Perfect Dark and get this game moving forward so that we're going to be able to play it in the near future. Go down, you read what happened in this article. It sounds pretty concerning, but you sit back and you think about it, and from what we understand as what is going on, what this studio was about from the start, it probably isn't nearly as bad as a lot of people think it is. They even go as far as naming all the people that aren't there anymore, and there are lots of names crossed off the list. So if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking that the studio isn't in the best shape possible. And I would say that would be a good assumption if Crystal Dynamics hadn't been brought into the fold. But we got more information here from Jez Corden talking about his thoughts on the situation. He got some information as to what potentially happened at the initiative, saying this was from credible sources and that he isn't really too worried about Perfect Dark, and he does not think that the studio itself is in too bad of a shape. So basically what he believes happened is that there were two train of thoughts at the studio. One group believed that they should just hire people and build up the initiative to become a bigger studio than it already was and kind of have that flat hierarchy and just work in that way. And then there was the other group that wanted to stay small, have a small amount of people, and then you bring in a company or developer like Crystal Dynamics to help push along and make these games. Now, Microsoft obviously agreed with the direction that Daryl Gallagher wanted to go, which was, hey, let's stay small, let's bring in Crystal Dynamics, let's have a top-down approach, and let's get a plan together to make sure that Perfect Dark is moving along and that we are going to be able to deliver a quality product when the game releases. And that's the gist of it. I mean, that's why people left. People who didn't agree with that train of thought left the initiative, and then the people who did and thought this was a good approach, agreed with the way that the project was going, stayed. And to me, that makes sense. I mean, there isn't really any reason to be too worried about the initiative when you sit back and think about it. The fact that they brought in Crystal Dynamics, and even though people have left, they have Crystal Dynamics there, I mean, replacing it and then following along with the project and what the head of the studio, Daryl Gallagher, wants to do. And he has a great pedigree in developing and creating games. So I think there's a lot of confidence with him and with people who are under him that he's going to be able to push along and create this great product. So the article itself, when it first came out, definitely caused a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I have to admit, even in myself, after reading that, I was pretty concerned as to what was going on. But you sit back and you think about it, and it all kind of makes sense. And it almost seems like this is really what the initiative wanted to do from the start. They wanted to stay small, but in order to create big, large AAA games, or as people notoriously say, quadruple A games, you do need to have quite an amount of employees and you need to have a lot of experience in there. And bringing in a studio like Crystal Dynamics, studio that Daryl Gallagher knows extremely well, makes a lot of sense for creating Perfect Dark. So I think that there really isn't that much to worry about right now. Anymore, at least. I mean, the last couple of days, you probably were a little bit worried. I was a little bit worried, but hearing what Jez had to say here on the podcast and just kind of breaking it down, what happened with those two trains of thoughts has me thinking that Perfect Dark is going to be completely fine. Now, first-party Xbox games in general kind of have come into question recently, at least in the first half, the beginning of 2022, as we haven't really heard too much about it. We know Starfield's coming in November, and we should be getting Redfall as well by the end of this year. So those are two massive games that to keep on your radar coming to Xbox Game Pass as first-party Xbox games. But how does the rest of the roadmap look? And that's always something that people ask, and it's always great to see just different types of estimations on this. Now, this one comes from Clobro, saying here, Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda estimated roadmap, March 2022 update, just shuffled some things around, now expecting Perfect Dark later, assuming that is based off of the information we just recently talked about, and Hellblade 2 a bit earlier. In general, a quiet time on known new first-party releases, but that should change in the summer at the latest. And we take a look here at the roadmap that we have here. So right now we're in this area here where As Dusk Falls is the next game that we can expect. That's being published by Xbox Game Studios. And then after that, I guess the official release of Grounded. That game is out right now, and they've done a lot to be added to that game, so that's really cool. But they are going to release, I guess, the official non-game preview version. Deathloop, that's already been out. It was out on PS5, but that's going to be coming to Xbox Game Pass, and you're going to be able to jump into that. Then, like I said, this holiday season or near the end of 2022 is going to be very exciting with Starfield, which I think could potentially be the greatest RPG of all time. I know we haven't seen gameplay, but everything from what it sounds is just seems like it's going to blow people's minds, but we'll wait and see on that. And then Redfall as well, both Bethesda games, Redfall from Arcane. So that's really cool. Those are two massive games, completely different in style and probably in scope as well. So should be exciting to be able to jump in between those two games. Forza Motorsport. Now we just got Forza Horizon last year, an absolutely amazing game. They're going to bring out their more simulation game at the end of 2022, the beginning of 2023, which I think a lot of people will be looking forward to, and that will be a better comparison, I would say, to what we have on PlayStation, which is Gran Turismo 7, which I've been hearing a lot of mixed things about. I was actually excited for Gran Turismo 7 when they first announced it, because I've played that game all the way back in PS1, PS2 days. So it's a franchise that I've definitely followed, but I'm not going to be picking that game up for a while until at least they probably cut the price on it and make it better value for what I guess we're getting right now. From what I've seen, what I've heard about it, Contraband, that's like that game from Avalanche that they're working with, and that's similar, they're saying, to like a Sea of Thieves style game, but you're actually going out and doing heists and stuff like that. Ghostwire Tokyo coming out on PS5, but hey, you're gonna get that on Game Pass eventually in 2023, a year from when it releases on PlayStation 5. Avowed, one of the games I'm most excited for, mid 2023. Hellblade 2, again, mid-2023, State of Decay 3, mid-2023. And then when we have 2024 and beyond, you get a huge chunk of just absolutely massive games. Fable, Outer Worlds 2, Perfect Dark, Indiana Jones. I keep forgetting that Indiana Jones is being developed by Bethesda. Can't wait to see more about that, but that seems like a long ways away. Project Mara, Everwild. Everwild is going to be very interesting to see what turns out to be with that game. The next Gears, and then Elder Scrolls 6. So just so many amazing games to be coming out from Xbox Game Studios. So many huge titles, and we have just begun. We're only in this area right here. And I mean, Starfield, what else can you say? That's the next big one everyone's looking forward to. Now, when it comes to Game Pass games coming over to Xbox, there's been a huge announcements this week with the ID at Xbox, and they gave us the next slate of Xbox Game Pass games in March. One game that I completely forgot to mention that did get announced that it is coming to Xbox Game Pass is Sniper Elite 5, and this is going to be making its way to Game Pass, Xbox One, Series XS, PC, PS4, and PS5 on May 26, 2022. So if you're a fan of the Sniper Elite series, you're going to be able to jump into this on day one. If you remember recently with the FPS boost, I believe the last Sniper Elite game, they had updated, and I tried that game out. It was, I think, the first Sniper Elite game that I had played, and it was really cool. So I'm excited to check out this one when it finally drops on May 26th. Sticking here on some new games that are potentially going to be coming to Game Pass, or at least coming to Xbox, and that is Goldeneye. So we heard about the Goldeneye thing going on where they had done a remaster of the game back for the 360, but the project never actually got to be released. But then they later released a video of what it was going to look like, and it looked super good, and something that I think a lot of people wished would have come out. And then earlier this year, we saw leaks of achievements for Goldeneye coming onto Xbox, and the pictures within those achievements indicated that this was the original Goldeneye game, probably the remaster or something like that. So people have been waiting to see if this game is going to get re-released, going to get a remastered version. You're going to be able to check it out on Xbox. We haven't heard anything for a while now, but we did just get this, seemingly meaning that there's still a chance and they're still looking into it, as they have extended the trademark for Goldeneye. And the main thing about this trademark is that it's extending the holder Danjak LLC to use the Goldeneye name for downloadable game software, seemingly meaning that, hey, if they want to be able to put this out, if there's some deal that gets worked out, because we know there's a lot of different working parts with Goldeneye, with Nintendo, with Xbox, with Rare, with MGM. So there's just so many different working parts with this. If they have a deal where everyone gets access to this game, Nintendo probably wants to put it on their Nintendo online services, and then Xbox can put it on there on Game Pass, or just have it downloadable on Xbox. Hopefully that's something that does happen, and we will eventually be able to play that remastered version of Goldeneye. All right, so to end off today's video, let's talk about this, and it has to do with Microsoft is improving Xbox Cloud gaming performance on iPhone and iPad, which I think is very cool, because we know what has happened with Apple blocking Xbox from putting their Xbox Game Pass app directly on Apple's App Store so that people can access the games that way, forcing Xbox to do a workaround, which is you can access Xbox Cloud Gaming on an Apple device through the browser. So here's the thing: you have an iPad, you have an iPhone, you have an Apple computer with a browser on it. You're going to be able to access Xbox Cloud Gaming by opening up your browser, and through the browser they are continuing to work on things like we've seen, like clarity boost, where it kind of sharpens the image, which I thought was very cool. But they continue to do things like here, like reduce the latency and the lag you have from when you press a button on your controller to what happens on screen. So they say here, improvements include optimized video output on iOS devices and optimized network data transmission to speed up the responsiveness of Xbox Cloud Gaming. Nicole Hilbert, the product manager, says you asked for a better iOS experience, and as a result, we have brought major performance improvements to all supported iPhone and iPad devices. With these updates, you should have a smoother and more responsive gameplay experience. These major performance improvements should also reduce input latency overall, or the delay between your moving a thumbstick or pressing a button and that action appearing on screen. So that's great, because latency is, I think, the main issue that some people will have with Xbox Cloud Gaming. And it's actually gotten to a point where it works really well that you can even play like a fighting game on it and feel like you're fully in control of your fighter. Like, try Mortal Kombat on Cloud Gaming, you'll see what I mean. It works well if you have a good internet connection. Now, obviously, it's not going to be the best experience out there. I still would much rather play natively on my Xbox or on my PC, but it's a great solution if you have a controller for your phone. And even if you don't, we know that there's touch controls on there. We saw recently Phil Spencer tweeted out that he was playing Luminous Remastered through the touch controls, and I went ahead and actually tried it out after I saw that, and it works really well. That's one of those games that the touch controls actually suffice. So cloud gaming is huge for the future. Xbox is going to continue to improve on it. Last year they moved to 1080p 60. They're working on a dedicated Xbox app for the TV. I'm assuming they're working on like a streaming stick or something, trying to expand Xbox Cloud Gaming out to as many people as possible. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know your thoughts on all of this stuff, and specifically, were you worried about the initiative? Are you not worried now? Do you think Perfect Dark is going to come out and be a high quality game? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you liked what you saw, you found it entertaining and informative, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. We'll be right back.